Hi, Peter Boolkah here and welcome to today's edition of the Transition Guy. Now in today's episode, I want to look around mojo and motivation. Now what do I mean by mojo? Well, I mean what gets us up in the morning to do the stuff as entrepreneurs we need to do to both drive ourselves forward and our businesses. Now something interesting happened about 7 weeks ago. I went to see it was a really good business. Got an inquiry, came in, said, can you please come and see me? I want to scale up my business. So I said, okay, no problem. Went down, saw the person. Beautiful business, great growth, great company value. So it's a healthy business. Speaking to the entrepreneur, they've got the car, they've got the house. I'm in a beautiful house. They have the holidays, watches. They've got all the toys associated with success. So speaking to them, very quickly we moved off the whole subject of scaling up a business. And all of a sudden it was, well, I'm not happy. I don't really like my business. Well, it's not so much they didn't like the business, they just didn't enjoy coming into work. And I thought, well, what's going on here? What's the matter? And they're going to put their finger on it. And I asked a simple question. What is it you want? What is it you're trying to achieve? Have you achieved all your original goals? The person looked at me and said, yes, I have. And they were just in a comfort zone. They weren't in the growth zone anymore, they were in a comfort zone. And I can relate to that. I mean, I've been coaching now for 13 years. And probably about 4 years ago, I started getting into that zone where perhaps I wasn't growing anymore, I'd achieved my goals, and I needed a massive reset. And all this entrepreneur needed is another reset. The reality is they were no longer growing, but the business was growing, so to speak, but it was growing in spite of them. And because they didn't have those next level goals, that next level inspiration, that mojo, it's only a matter of time before that business really then starts to be a reflection of the business owner and starts to decline. Because the reality is, if we're not growing, we're dying. And a lot of people associate growing with money. Oh yeah, but it's all about more money, more money, more money. See, for this particular person, it was no longer about more money. In fact, when I go back to when I hit my sort of glass ceiling, when I hit my rock face really, and I was starting to think, okay, it's difficult for me to get up in the mornings. And I'm normally in the office at 5:15. And it was never a problem to wake up and just spring out of bed and go into work. But when you sort of think, okay, I need to snooze, then you know that something's not right. And for me, it wasn't about, well, how many more clients can I get? How much more money can I make? Because yeah, okay, those things are important. But I was doing one-to-one coaching, and I was at a point where I really wanted to make a bigger impact in the world. I really wanted to reach more people. Because sharing the message one-to-one is great, but imagine what great you can do when you're doing one-to-many. So for me, it was actually reinventing, okay, what does 5 years look like that I can get really excited about? And I eventually worked it out, and I'm now working towards that. And a lot of it is really uncomfortable, doing stuff that perhaps I wouldn't normally want to do or normally enjoy doing. But the reality is I had that sense of need that I needed to hit more people, therefore I had to change. And really, when I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, that is the biggest challenge they have, is that they've stopped growing as a person, they've stopped wanting because they're comfortable, and life is no longer exciting. And you know, so many people tuning in today, you can relate to that. I've been there, you've either been there, or you're there right now. And unless you snap out of it, unless you've got that clear 5-year plan, and I mean personal, not just business, because remember, you are the entrepreneur. It's your energy, your passion, your desire that will ultimately drive your business. If you're dead as a leader, then you're going to kill your business. So it's about working out what you want. Now, if you're in that quandary, you're not sure what your next 5 years look like. More importantly, you're not sure where you want to go in the next 5 years. Please head over to boolkah.com and get in touch. Let's have a chat about what does 5 years look like? What does excitement look like? What does energy look like? Because if you don't have any of those things, you're not going to get the business to where you want it. Trust me, I've been there. I see loads of people that have been there. It's a reality of what we go through. We have to keep on growing. And remember, and it ties in beautifully to what I always say to my clients, what I always say to my audience. If failing to learn is learning to fail.